MicroStrategy integrate Bitcoin into their balance sheets, it sends a strong signal to the market about the legitimacy and potential of digital assets. This move not only boosts investor confidence, but also encourages other corporations to consider similar strategies. The result is a cascading effect where increased demand for Bitcoin can drive up its price, creating a positive feedback loop. They're talking about this trend, 10x money multiplier, for Bitcoin, where big public companies are starting to copy Michael Saylor's strategy. He's the guy from MicroStrategy, MSTR, and he's famous in the Bitcoin world because instead of just holding cash on his company's balance sheet, he decided to buy a ton of Bitcoin with it. Now, other companies are starting to follow his lead. They're buying Bitcoin too, not just as a random investment, but actually as a strategic part of their business. The concept of a 10x money multiplier in the context of Bitcoin refers to the idea that for every $1 of new capital entering the Bitcoin market, the overall market capitalization could increase by $10. This phenomenon is attributed to the limited supply of Bitcoin and the significant impact that new investments can have on its price. And here's what's wild. Doing this seems to be boosting the stock prices of these companies. So it's not just that they own Bitcoin now. Investors in the stock market are reacting positively, rewarding them with higher share prices. That makes the shareholders richer. Think of it like a positive feedback loop. The company buys Bitcoin. People get excited. Stock goes up. Now the company can raise more money, which it might use to buy more Bitcoin. Now the real question becomes, what does this mean for Bitcoin's price? That's where NYDIG, which is a financial research and investment firm focused on Bitcoin, steps in. They looked into this and tried to model out the impact. They used something called a money multiplier, in this case, a 10x multiplier. That's a way to express how capital inflows can magnify the total market cap of Bitcoin. Basically, for every $1 that flows in, Bitcoin's market value tends to go up by about $10. This is a general rule of thumb from past behavior. Not guaranteed, but a pretty good estimation tool. So here's what they did. They looked at 4 companies: MicroStrategy, MSTR, Metaplanet, 3350, 21, CEP, and Semler Scientific, SMLR. All of them adopted this Bitcoin on the balance sheet strategy. NYDIG then analyzed how much their stock values have increased since adopting it. Then they asked, okay, based on these higher stock prices, how much more money could these companies theoretically raise by issuing new shares? Because when your stock price is high, it's easier and more profitable to sell new shares to the public. Then they took that amount, the capital they could raise, and applied the 10x multiplier. That gave them an estimate of how much this new capital could push up Bitcoin's overall market cap. Finally, they divided that number by the total supply of Bitcoin to figure out how much the price of each Bitcoin could rise. The answer? About $42,000 per Bitcoin added to the current price, if this all plays out. And here's the kicker. That would represent a 44% increase from the current Bitcoin price, which they mention as being around $96,000 at the time of this analysis. That's a massive move in any asset, especially something as big as Bitcoin. Wall Street money managers, who are always looking for good returns to show their clients, would love to have this kind of chart in their presentations. It looks impressive, especially during shaky markets when people are scared of where to put their money. Then NYDIG adds one more key point. This ability to raise funds by issuing stock and use it to buy Bitcoin is like dry powder. It's not being used yet, but it's sitting there, ready to be deployed. If companies pull the trigger, it could create real upward pressure on Bitcoin's price. On top of all that, Bitcoin's limited supply makes this even more powerful. There are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. Right now, public companies alone own 3.63% of all Bitcoin. MicroStrategy owns most of that. If you throw in private companies and even governments, that total jumps to 7.48% of all Bitcoin already held. So if demand keeps growing and supply remains fixed, which it will, then prices could rise fast. There's even a suggestion that the US government might be exploring ways to start accumulating Bitcoin itself. without increasing the budget, meaning they'd find creative or cost-neutral ways to buy some. That would be another massive demand source. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.